Good morning. Welcome to the First Religious Society Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, Massachusetts. My name is Vern Ellis, and I'm your worship associate today. We come together as a church community, online and in person, committed to love, peace, and justice. Our core values are authentic connection, courageous action, love, spirituality, and wonder. Our mission and our invitation to you all is to come as you are, journey together in love, act with courage, transform our world. If you're visiting today or joining us for the first time, welcome. We are glad you're here. To access this morning's order of service, please click on the QR code located on the paper in your pew, on the link which we will find in the reminder email or in the links just below the live stream for those of you online. We are disappointed to share that our guest minister, Reverend Carleen Griffiths-Sicko, is ill. It will be unable to join us this morning. We look forward to welcoming her back to FRS in the future. This morning, we will hear a sermon originally given by Reverend Bert Steeves at this pulpit on June 19, 1994, his last service as minister at this church. Every Sunday, we say it's no small thing that we have gathered. This morning, it's a particularly big thing that we have gathered, so let us get to it. I welcome one and all to the church and our worship service. It's great to be together.
Learning is our theme this month, and it is a never-ending process. To grow and to learn is to follow a path that challenges us to be open at every step, when sometimes it would be easier to just close up. Our call to worship this morning is a piece by the Tang Dynasty poet Tu Fu titled, "Written on the Wall at Chang's Hermitage." It is spring in the mountains. I come alone, seeking you. The sound of chopping wood echoes between the silent peaks. The streams are still icy. There is snow on the trail. At sunset, I reach your grove in the stony mountain pass. You want nothing, although at night you can see the aura of gold and silver ore all around you. You have learned to be gentle, as the mountain deer you have tamed. The way back is forgotten, hidden away. I become like you, an empty boat, floating adrift. Friends, you are joyfully called to worship. Please join in saying our chalice lighting words as Vern lights the chalice. The words can be found in the online order of service or in the laminated card found in the front of the gray hymnals. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. Each week, we also light 2 candles of peace, representing 2 places on earth we lift up and remember as a sacred encounter with our world. There are untold number of places on earth that need peace. These 2 we hold especially close in this service and through the week ahead. After each candle is lit, we will speak the words for peace in English, Arabic, and Hebrew. Peace, salam, shalom. Our first candle is lit for the town of Kilis on the Syrian border of Turkey, which is now in its 10th year of welcoming Syrian refugees. Over the past decade, Kilis has doubled in size from 100,000 to 200,000 residents, resulting in a community that is evenly composed of Turkish and Syrian residents. In Kilis, these 2 communities have stood by each other in the midst of hardship and lack of resources, despite the increasing anti-immigrant rhetoric in surrounding communities. May we celebrate their example in how we can embrace those different from us and in need of shelter. And may we learn how we can empower those who empower others. Peace, salam, shalom. Our second candle is lit for Puerto Rico, where this past week, Social Security benefits for older, blind, and disabled persons have been denied by the federal government. These benefits, which have been made available to Americans in the 50 states, are sorely needed by many Puerto Ricanos. We pray for the disabled population in Puerto Rico, and we pray that as a country we learn to listen to the voices of those who have been made unable to speak. Peace, salam, shalom. We will now join together in our first hymn, number 298, Wake Now, My Senses. To honor the safety of all those who are gathered, we ask that those who are in person to take in the music and refrain from singing, while those who are participating from home online can sing their hearts out. May all our hearts be filled with peace.
Wake now, my senses, and hear the earth go. Feel the deep power of being in awe. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving and receiving as love shows us how. Wake now, my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as neighbor, both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now, my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. Wake now, my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all
Please rise in body or spirit, and let's join our voices in our affirmation of faith. The words are in the online order of service or on the laminated cards in the gray hymnal. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. And next, our doxology, which we will speak together. From all that dwell below the skies, let faith and hope with love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung through every land by every tongue.
The generosity of our community is an essential ministry that supports the work of the church to live out our values, mission, and ends, both in Newburyport and beyond. Each week, 50% of the Sunday offering, not designated as a pledge, goes to a local community partner engaged in important efforts to transform our region. November shared collection will support Essex County Habitat for Humanity, which brings people together to build affordable homes, strengthen families, and foster hope. Habitat families buy their homes after they provide between 240 and 360 sweat equity hours to build their own home and other families' homes. Since 1985, 114 new homes have been built and 41 homes rehabbed. This includes a current project in Salisbury. Please give so that one day everyone will have a decent place to live. At this time, we encourage you to make your offering online. If you're viewing the order of service on your phone or on your computer at home, there's a link you can click in the order of service in the video description, where you can make a contribution. You can also text a contribution by sending the word GIVE FRSUU to the number 73256. If you would prefer to make an offering by cash or check, you can take the time to fill it out, the information as the music is playing, and there will be a basket that you can always use to leave at the service as you leave the service. And of course, you can always send a check via snail mail to the church. The offering will now be gratefully received.
Good morning. This is the time in our service when we lift up the joys and sorrows of those in our beloved community. Nancy Kidd is our pastoral care associate who will light the candles this morning. We light a candle for Linda Tully, whom we hold in our prayers with so much love as she mourns the loss of her daughter, Nishla, who passed away at her home in Kennebunk on Thursday evening. Linda asks for prayers for Nishla's partner, Solon, and their beloved 3-year-old son, Rishi. And we light a candle also and hold in our hearts all the joys and sorrows among us which have gone unnamed. And please join me now in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, we come to you this morning with questions. Questions about the meaning of pain and suffering. Questions about how much pain the human heart can hold. About our place in the world, what our role is, how we can be of service. We wonder if love is enough. Spirit of life, we come to you this morning with gratitude. Gratitude for breath. Gratitude for the embrace of loved ones, for music, for trees, for community, for laughter. We come with gratitude for those who travel with us, those who may not always understand exactly how we feel, but who hold us nonetheless. Spirit of life, we come to you this morning as we are, as imperfect beings, floundering, filled with doubt, filled with faith. Help us to still the noise around us and hear the voice within, the endless source of wisdom and strength, the deep wellspring of joy, the spark that connects us with all living things. Amen, and blessed be.
I brought my spirit to
The Reverend Bert Steeves served this congregation from 1956 until 1994, an extraordinary tenure that oversaw major changes here in Newburyport and in the Unitarian Universalist Association. At the time of his calling, the Unitarian and Universalist churches had not yet merged. By his retirement, the Gray Hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition, had just been published and signaled a new era for the church that has subsequently evolved in many other ways. In his final sermon, given on June 19, 1994, Reverend Steeves reflects on what he saw as the core tenets of Unitarian Universalism, reminding both the congregation then and now of the unique shape of our faith. Perhaps now we think about some things differently, but Reverend Steeves, speaking from now almost 3 decades past, can teach us that many of our commitments remain important and relevant to the contemporary world. This sermon has been edited very slightly for clarity of personal statements, and it is entitled, Going Out of Business? Upon hearing news of Reverend Steeves' retirement, one 5-year-old member of the young church asked, "The man who does all the talking, is he going out of business?" The following sermon is his response. And let me just say that it is incredibly humbling and an honor for me to speak his words, standing in this spot where he stood almost 30 years ago. And it's particularly poignant as we plan this week for his memorial service on Saturday. The man who does all the talking, is he going out of business? An excellent question, and one which deserves a response. Our Orthodox Christian kin in religion take their texts from either the Old or New Testament, that is, from the Psalms or Proverbs, from Exodus, Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. My fellow Unitarian Universalist clergy persons range widely for their inspiration, from poets, from historians, from contemporary theologians, even from the New York Times. This morning, I will take my text from the mouth of a 5-year-old. The man who does all the talking, is he going out of business? An excellent and perceptive question, but to a 5-year-old or to adults with childish minds, a disappointing answer will be forthcoming. Children demand structure and absolutes. The truth as they see it is simple, right or wrong, black or white, good or bad. It either is or isn't. We adults are so annoyingly ambiguous. We wait and see. Perhaps, maybe, it depends. I too fall into the adult category, that kind of exasperating person who does not have all the answers, who unfortunately sees both or even several sides of the picture. So the question, is he going out of business? The answer to a child is a vague and evasive one. The man who does all the talking, is he going out of business? Well, yes, and no. I will no longer be selling my wares from this pulpit, so in a manner of speaking, I am going out of business. But the wares that I have been selling these many years are the convictions that make up my life. So I will continue to advocate these Unitarian Universalist convictions. Why must I continue advocating by example these convictions may best be understood if I paraphrase stanza 17 of Robert Frost's poem about New Hampshire. Do you know, considering the market, there are more sermons produced than any other thing? No wonder ministers sometimes have to seem so much more businesslike than businessmen. Their wares are so much harder to get rid of. What are these wares, these convictions that I have been advocating? I am sure I do not need to remind you that we Unitarian Universalists do have convictions. We have beliefs. We are not free to believe anything. We are free to believe what our reason and experience persuade us to be true. We know that we are finite and that we cannot know ultimate truth. We have not final truth in our grasp, no inside track to the truth. While we must remain open to truth yet to be known, as Lowell wrote, time makes ancient truth uncouth. We must upward and onward be to keep abreast of our truth. We must also be faithful to the truth that we do know. We must reserve the right to change our minds in the light of new knowledge and insight. But we have to act on what we do know. Time demands choice. Although we make mistakes, even grievous errors, our faithfulness to our convictions should be timeless. One of these continuing convictions is the unity of humankind. This conviction, of course, runs deep in the Universalist tradition of universal salvation. The conviction, likewise, is markedly clear in the Unitarian tradition of belief in the dignity of all persons. There is almost unanimous agreement among us that the whole human race is the entity to which we can give our ultimate commitment. There is one human family. No sect, no nation, no class, no theology nor ideology deserves our final and absolute loyalty. Nothing less than the welfare of the human species, the beloved community of humankind, past, present, and future, deserves total dedication. It is true that on many occasions, serving one nation or serving one community or serving one church will be the most appropriate means for an individual to serve humankind. After all, we are limited in what we can do, and many times the specific service where we are is more effective than to aid humankind in a general way. Yet, our small contribution must help toward the goal of a unity of humankind. Whenever we are convinced that the service to one nation or one community or class is contrary to the welfare of humanity, we should desist and search for other channels of service. We must abhor all that divides people by creed, class, gender preference, religion, and race. We must resist all that throws people into ghettos of place or ghettos of mind and spirit. Isolation is damnation. A second conviction we hold in common is what is called the sacredness of the mundane. Perhaps you would prefer it be called the religious in the secular, or the extraordinary in the ordinary, or as Bill Schultz calls it, the holy. The point is that there is but one world, the natural world. Truth is truth. Beauty is beauty. Goodness is goodness. Whether these are found in religions and churches or in laboratories or studios or concert halls, whether they are found in the Bible or poems or the dramas of Shakespeare or the classics of Homer or the writings of philosophers or the insights of ordinary people. We do not reject the world, but seek to sanctify it by making it more nearly conform with the good, the true, and the beautiful, as we come more fully to understand these values. In passing, let me note that it is not merely the good we seek. One of the things we must resist from our Puritan heritage is the tendency to reduce religion to morals. We must have room in our churches for not only the search for the good or ethics, but also for the true or knowledge and beauty or aesthetics. All of these are a part of religion and the deepest need of our human nature. We must shun and demand that everyone conform to our lifestyle. We must beware of fanaticism and self-righteousness in every form. We need a tolerance for the values of those other than our own. We need to seek to understand the meaning in them. We need to find religious meaning in the place where we are, among the people with whom we live and work, and in the events we experience. Religious experience is found not necessarily in holy books or pious words, but it is actually found in the way that we understand and live through what happens to us day by day. We need to find the divine in the human, the eternal significance in what we might call commonplace. Every bush is aflame with God for the person who has eyes to see. The rest sit around and eat blackberries, or, as Blake wrote, to see the world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. A third continuing conviction should be stated this way. We believe that people should live by conviction rather than by convenience. Now, it is convenient to let someone do your thinking for you, to accept their beliefs rather than to think out your own. It is convenient to run with the crowd, to follow the leader, to be caught up in the fad of the moment or the catchwords and slogans. It is convenient to go along with the creeds or theology of a church you really don't believe. It is convenient to stay home from the church you do believe in. But when we live by conviction, the result is different. We feel a responsibility to use our freedom to support what we do believe. We know that in fellowship there is strength, but without us, there is no fellowship. We want to count. We want to be counted among those who are responsible for the increase of the good and the true. We carry the continuing conviction that our freedom is to believe the truth, i.e., the truth persuades the mind that rings true to experience no matter what the consequence or convenience. Truth is not to be rejected because it is old, neither is it to be rejected because it is new. Conviction of any kind is rejected only when it does not ring of the truth. As we know, truth changes, grows, is enlarged by the minds of humans. At our best, we are disciples of advancing truth. If we revere the Hebrew prophets or the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth, it is not because of supernatural authority or the words of the Bible, or even because it is the thing to do. No, rather, it is because the truth speaks through these men, because the divinity of the human soul shines more brightly in their lives. This is a divinity we can believe in. Far from denying it, we can affirm it. But the test is not dogma, but by what it manifests of righteousness and truth. The light from their lives makes the darkness of ignorance around us a little brighter. I like the words from the ancient prayer that goes, "From the cowardice that shrinks from new truth, from the laziness that is content with half-truths, from the arrogance that thinks it knows all truth, O God of truth, deliver us." We believe that living by conviction rather than convenience is the way to peace and truth. Finally, I think that most of us would accept, for lack of a better term, the old phrase, salvation by character. We are not in the tradition of St. Paul, who maintained that we are saved by faith alone. We judge people by what they do rather than what they say, deeds, not creeds, actions, not words. And as Jesus observed, we are judged as we judge. We do question the activities of those who are merely self-serving, exploitative, cruel, oppressive, dehumanizing. However, the criteria by which we judge is not mainly verbal, but behavioral. We believe that people do create heaven and hell. You know this concept well and perhaps need no further words from me, but it is a continuing conviction that I would remind you of this day. We were not born into the world burdened by original sin, a sin inherited from Adam or from anyone else. We are born into the world with a blessing to be individuals and to realize our powers, talents, and uniqueness. We are born ignorant of what we might become, ignorant to the divine potentials slumbering in our hearts. There is no inherent defect in our nature because of animal inheritance or original sin to be washed away. We all have the capacity to strive, to overcome, to realize something of the divine potential within us. We are endowed with reason to learn, to examine, to gain knowledge, to evaluate, and to pass on to the oncoming generation what is most worthy and valuable. On the group level, we have come to be known as the cultural or spiritual lag, that's something which holds our society and us back. But everyone as an individual and as a group has the capacity and power through insight, through hoping, through working, yes, through praying, to make the best out of our lives, to know the good, to do the good, to understand, and to follow that which makes for individual growth and expands the quality of life for all people. We work out our salvation as we live our lives in this life. Our religion does not take away our uniqueness, our individuality, our right to think for ourselves, nor does it lay upon us a heavy burden of inherited sin to be washed away. I am reminded of Gertrude Stein, who once remarked about Paris, "It is not what Paris gives you, it is what she does not take away." When you stop to think of the meaning underlying those words, it is quite profound. You might say it is quite a gift. The remark of Gertrude Stein's about Paris could be made about Unitarian Universalism. Our church may not give you everything you may wish in religion. It does not grant the false but comforting feeling of an easy salvation. But think of what the church does not take away. We may not stress new birth, born again salvation, so often preached today. We may not give you a complete, ready-made set of doctrines and dogmas that are officially correct. But again, think of what we do not take away. We insist upon the freedom and right to experience the power of religion in our own way. We hope that all of us will use this power to become more sensitive and aware of our lives and to change our theological opinions if and when we feel the need to do so. We may not give a fixed ceremony that will be forevermore, but think of what we do not take away: the right to be part and to participate, to shape ceremony, to be a contributor to tradition, to use our powers and thought as a participant in shaping a common life, and to celebrate that life in our own way. We may not give you an official way to express your religion in the proper words and accepted beliefs and practices, but think of what we do not take away. You have the right to be leftish or rightish or centrist and to find your own personal expression of religion. You can be sure that not only will someone agree with you and also someone will disagree with you, but your way and you yourself will be accepted and appreciated. People often think of what religion can give them. Think now and then, rather, of what it takes away. In this regard, think about what Unitarian Universalism does not take away: freedom, your right to individual belief, the gathering of wisdom from many traditions, the process and means to be a person with inner harmony, personal achievements, and the expectation that you will never grow the need to keep growing. You will never outgrow the need to keep growing. There is, of course, much, in fact, that Unitarian Universalism does give us. It is important also to realize what we do not take away. We do not take you away, your dignity as an individual, your uniqueness of personality and character. No one else can take your place. No one else can perform your service in your way. Here, we count. We count as we contribute and as we are. We count in the church and we count in the community. At this moment, there are forces on the earth of which the church may be only a small part, that are working, making this world a global village, toward the unity of humankind, toward universalism in which the dignity of the individual is assured. We are a church universal. There is not a better term than the word church, an ecclesia, a gathering of a congregation of all who live by conviction, not convenience, who accept the responsibility for the community which gives life. The church universal, which holds ancient wisdom and seeks modern thought, which recognizes in all prophets and religious founders and all scriptures a unity, and through all find a continuity which rejects all that separates and divides, and always magnifies fellowship in peace. The church universal, which seeks truth in freedom, justice in love, and individual discipline in social duty. The church universal, which shall make one day all sects, classes, nations, and races one fellowship. Unto this church and to all its members, known and unknown, throughout the world, let us pledge the allegiance of our minds, our hands, our hearts. And our closing hymn is number 131, which Betsy will sing for us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Please join in saying our unison benediction as Vern extinguishes the chalice. The words, again, are in the online order of service or in the laminated cards in the gray hymnal. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us now and always. The search for truth, learning, and that process of change is an act of life, but it doesn't always feel that way. Sometimes learning feels like the ground is being pulled out from under you, or like the very fabric of who you are is being torn. But just In that one act of learning, the world is changed. To change yourself is to change the world. And even though it may sometimes feel like a whole is being formed, together, by coming here, we are resolving to be the ones who bring the threads. We're resolving to be the ones who help the process for ourselves and for others, so that we, together, can learn both by creating those new gaps, but also by stitching them together. Blessed be. Amen.